Hariam students. Today we are going to start our sixth lesson, 100 dresses, part 2. So before starting this lesson, let's have a quick or brief revision of the previous lesson, that is 100 dresses, part 1. So in that lesson, we have learned about who are Poles or polishers, how they migrate from their place to the America, and what are the situations of the people, how they were discriminated in America. All these things we have discussed, and especially in the story about Wanda Patransky, who was a Pole or Polish girl who comes from Boggins Heights. It's a place in America, to an American school in the American town, and how she was bullied by her classmates and other students in the school. All these things we have discussed, isn't it? Yeah, coming to the story, on Monday she was absent, but nobody have noticed her absence, and even on Tuesday she was absent, but none of the students or her classmates have noticed her absence. But on Wednesday, her classmates by name Peggy and Maddie have noticed that she was absent to the school. Actually, they were waiting for her outside the campus to make fun of her, not to just play with her or spend some time, but to make fun of her. But on Wednesday also she was absent, and meanwhile her classmate Maddie was thinking about her and how they have bullied Maddie in the school campus, outside the class, in the ground, like how Peggy asked about how many dresses did she have, because she always wears only the blue pale dress, isn't it? And that Wanda Patransky answered that she had 100 dresses, which made Peggy more angry, and she started bullying her and asking a number of questions like how many dresses she has and how many shoes she is having, in that way. And because of all these things, all the other girls even started bullying her. But Wanda Patransky didn't take notice of all those things, just used to move away, and she was even absent to the school on Thursday. And but this Peggy and Maddie were not in a mood to take notice of her absence, because the next day they were waiting eagerly for the results of the competition, which was announced earlier, that is a drawing and coloring competition. Whereas that coloring competition was announced in the school long ago, where everyone have submitted their copies of drawing and coloring, and they were awaiting for the results. And the next day was results, and it was very drizzling, and they couldn't wait for Wanda, and everyone were in the class and they were very happy. And even Maddie was sure that Peggy will surely win the prize for girls, and she was having confidence that Peggy is very good at drawing. And when Miss Mason had arrived to the class, she was the teacher in the class, and she announced that for boys, there was a boy by name Jack Becklings had won the prize for boys. Coming to girls, actually the moment they had entered into the class, there were many drawings of more than nearly 100 paintings of a different dresses, which were hanged all over the classroom, to the window sills, to the walls, everywhere, and really they were wonderful. And Miss Mason had announced that these were the drawings of Wanda Patransky, and she had won the first prize of a drawing and coloring competition. And everyone was surprised that how could that be so possible. Like, no, Wanda Patransky, they didn't think that she was very good at drawing, or she's very good artist, but she was absent even that day when the results were announced. And Miss Mason said that soon she'll be back to school to collect her prize. So with this we have completed our first part of 100 dresses, and now let us get into the 100 dresses part 2. So we'll see whether Wanda Patransky will be back to school to collect the prize, and whether she'll be continued in the classes. Hope you have understood. Yeah, let's start our prose part. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the school principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while. Then she clapped her hands. So when all the students were in the classroom, the monitor of the school, he had bought a letter from the principal's office to Miss Mason. That means a letter was bought from principal's office to Miss Mason, and she took the letter and she read it several times. That means many times she started reading again and again, and she couldn't understand why such a letter to the class. That means she was thinking why such a letter is being written, and then she clapped her hands to drag the attention of all the students towards her. And attention the class, everyone back to their seat. She had ordered everyone to sit in their respective places, and all the students have stopped their shuffling of their feet. That means running here and there and moving their legs. All these things had been stopped, and the room 13 was quiet and silent. They were totally silent. And then Miss Mason started saying that I have a letter from Wanda's father. What did she say? I have a letter from Wanda's father that I want to read to you. So they have received a letter from Wanda's father, which already she had read. Now she wanted to read that letter to all the students. Okay. Miss Mason stood there for a moment, and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately. Her manner indicated that what was coming, this letter from Wanda's father, was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. So everyone, all the students, they were very silent and they went back to their places, and the expressions over the face of a Miss Mason and the tension and everything seemed that the letter which was from which was from Wanda's father was really of a great importance. This is being understandable. That means the students were able to understand out of the curiosity and the tension of this Miss Mason deliberately. And then they sat very silently and started listening very closely. That means more attentively they started listening. So when the class was very busy, a boy from principal's office came and handed over the letter to Miss Mason, and she took the letter and she just clapped her hands and made everyone to sit in their places and dragged their attention. And then this lady Miss Mason started reading a letter to the students, and the students have understood that the letter contains something very important and serious matter. So they themselves deliberately, in the sense they themselves started listening very closely, and that means very attentively. And now Miss Mason started reading the letter. Let us see what is there in the here is the letter. Let us read what is there. Dear teacher, my Wanda will not come to your school anymore. Jake also. Now we move away to big city. No more holler Polak. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yes, truly, Jan Patransky. So this was the note written by Wanda Patransky's father, whose name is John Patransky, to the teacher. So what did he write? He said that Wanda will not come to school anymore. So already we know that Wanda is not coming to school from Monday onwards, isn't it? And now they have got a letter from Wanda's father that she's not going to school anymore, because there were a lot of, we have already known that some kind of a discrimination was going on in the school, and they were just bullying her by the name. That Wanda Patransky was a very funny name. So here he said that she's not going to come anywhere. Even Jake is also not going to come, and they're moving to a big city where such kind of a discrimination will not be there. no more holler polite. That means no more teasing, no more bullying, and no more askings. Like no one will be asking why such a funny name. What's the funny name here? Wanda Patransky. So because there will be number of funny names and nobody in fact take notice of the funny names. So soon we are moving to a big city and we will join Wanda Patransky in a new school where there won't be such kind of a discrimination, especially in the name of her. So in the sake of her name, funny name. So this letter was written by Wanda Patransky's father, Jane Patransky. When Miss Masan read the letter, there was deep silence in the classroom. That what had happened, how the things went on in such a way, why such a girl went away. So nobody couldn't answer that, and the situation was very sad and unfortunate thing really that was, and silence went on. And Miss Masan, she couldn't tolerate that, and she was addressing the student. That means she was speaking to the student. She just took off her glasses and she blew on them, and then she cleaned the glasses with her white handkerchief and started speaking to the students with a very low voice. Here low voice in the sense not like she is speaking slowly or her voice mode of volume is very low. No, she is very sad down from her heart that such a good student who was very good artist had left the school just by the name of a discrimination or bullying. So she started speaking or addressing the students, and she's saying that I am sure in the sense here Miss Mashan was very sure that none of the boys of the boys and girls of room 13, that is no student in room 13 would purposely or deliberately, that means wantedly or willingly hurt anyone's feelings. So she's saying that I know my students very well, that they never tease or they never hurt the feelings of anyone purposely or deliberately, and if they do such things, definitely their name will be unfamiliar for a long time. That means their name will be a very bad, they gain a bad name, and for sure it will remain or sustain for a long time. That is what here Miss Masan was saying. And if anyone have done it or said such things in a thoughtlessness, that means without thinking what will be the consequences, if anyone have done it in such a way, that is really a very unfortunate thing and a very sad thing that the students of my class, that is a room 13, have done it. And it is a very sad situation to lose one student. So in that way she was trying to speak to the students, and somehow the students were also very sad that one of her classmates had left the school just for the sake of discrimination, that they have discriminated and made fun of her by her just for the namesake, like having a funny name like Wanda Patransky. So like that the teacher had spoken with the students, and next the class continued, and the first period was a study period where every student were busy in their preparation, then they were reading or learning their lessons, and even Maddie was trying to prepare for her lesson, but she couldn't do that. She couldn't prepare for her work because she was unable to put mind on the lessons, because something was really sick from the bottom of her stomach, something very sick from the bottom of her stomach. That means she was not feeling well. Like, why have we done such a thing to Wanda Patransky? Because she know that she had enjoyed listening to Peggy asking Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet. Let me, like, no, when Peggy was teasing Wanda Patransky and asking that how many dresses do you have. Here Maddie had enjoyed it. Instead of protesting Peggy, she thought of a protesting Peggy and stopped teasing Wanda many times, but she couldn't do it as Peggy was her friend, and moreover she will be the next target to Peggy after Wanda. So she didn't dare to do it, and now she's feeling very sad, and she herself was thinking that it was the worst situation if she had stopped Peggy bullying or making fun of her, and this situation definitely might have not come. That was the feeling of Maddie, and she had very bad feeling from the heart for standing very silently when Peggy had done all these worst things. That is what here Maddie is thinking, and she's thinking that she was a coward, she herself, because when Peggy is teasing, she herself, when she's standing and watching all the things, she is also as equal to her, as equal as Peggy, and both of them have done wrong. So she herself couldn't tolerate making fun of Wanda Patransky about her dresses and shoes and the other things. Hope you have understood it. Yeah, all these feelings, no, just making fun of Wanda Patransky, and Maddie couldn't help her. So all these things were disturbing Maddie a lot, that she couldn't concentrate, and she was thinking, is there anything that she could do? She could stop Wanda Patransky just leaving the school in that way. She was thinking, is there anything that she could do, and she could stop Wanda Patransky, and she could tell that they didn't really mean to hurt her feelings. They didn't just try to hurt her in this way. She just wanted to have a word with Wanda Patransky, and then she tried to have a look at Peggy, who was really trying to study hard. Here Peggy was having Maddie was having all these feelings towards Wanda Patransky, but Peggy, she never had a look at Maddie, and she was trying hard to prepare for her lessons. But though Peggy feels bad or not, but Maddie here, she feels very bad about Wanda Patransky, and about their treatment towards and their behavior towards Wanda Patransky, and now they have decided to just climb heights. That means to live off all these things. Both Peggy and Maddie, Maddie is thinking that they would go to her, leaving all these discriminations and bullyings. They would tell Wanda that yes, she had won the contest and she's very good artist, and they also thought that she's very smart, and all her 100 dresses were very beautiful. That is what here are Maddie was trying to convey to Wanda Patransky, that they never tried to hurt her feelings really, and they were really very sorry for making fun of her, and she was really very good artist and very smart girl also, and all her 100 dresses were really very good, beautiful. So all these things here Wanda Patransky, they wanted to convey to her, like Maddie wanted to convey to Wanda Patransky along with Peggy. Let us see whether she will convince Peggy to go to Wanda Patransky and convey their feelings. So here is a oral comprehension check of this part. What did Mr. Petransky's letter say? Here, who is Mr. Petransky? Yeah, father of Wanda Petransky. So here, this letter says that is the Wanda Patransky is not going to attend school anymore, and they are moving to a big city where such kind of a bullying and discrimination will not be there, just for the sake of funny name. Okay. Yeah, and then coming to the next question, is Miss Mashan angry with the class or she is unhappy? So in fact, she is not really angry with the class, but she is unhappy because she is very confident that none of the students, either the boys or the girls, were trying to. She's saying that she's having a feeling that they never hurt the feelings of anyone, just they never discriminate, or the scope of bullying will not be there in her class. But if anyone have done it unnoticedly, just without a thoughtlessness, she's saying that it is very bad and their name will be unfamiliar name, and she's very sad about the unfortunate thing which had happened in her class. And coming to the next question, how does Maddie feel after listening to the note from Vanda Patransky's father? So here she's feeling very sad about that. Maddie felt very sad that only because of her all these things had happened. If she could able to stop Peggy, this might have not had happened. So in that way, she's feeling very bad from her heart. What does Maddie wanted to do? So she wanted to go to Wanda Patransky and tell her that they didn't really mean to hurt her feelings, and all her drawings were very good and she was a very pretty girl and she's a good artist. These were the things which she wanted to convey to Wanda Patransky. So hope you have understood it. So when the school was dismissed in the afternoon, that means after the school hours, Peggy, with a lot pretended casualness, that means very casually, she just went to Maddie and said that, hey, let's go and see if that kid has left the town or not. So they wanted to go to Peggy and sorry, they wanted to go to Wanda's house and see whether they have left the town or not. So Peggy had the same idea what here Maddie was having. Both of them were feeling very sorry for Wanda Patransky really. So both of them decided to go to Wanda Patransky's house. So both the two girls hurried out of the building and then they started walking towards the Boggins Height, and that was the part of the town which was very far away from their regular way to home. And it was, as it was the month of November, and we have already discussed that it was drizzling, that means sprinkling or raining you can say, and the soil was very damp and dismal, like muddy land, and forbidding air slow and air was blowing. And so, however, though the climate was not so good, they have decided to go to Wanda Patransky's house and see whether she was there or she had left the town. So well, at last they have decided and they went, and here she was saying that Peggy, she never called her as a foreigner or just make fun of her name. So though I have asked her about her 100 dresses and how many dresses she had, but I have never discriminated her because she was a foreigner. Who was saying these words? Peggy was saying that though we have made fun of her, we have never bullied her as she was a foreigner or just she had a funny name. Only the thing what I have done is just I have asked her how many dresses she had, and just we had made fun because she had written that she had said that she had 100 dresses. But I never thought that she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. So that means she never thought that she'll be thinking that Wanda Patransky will be thinking that they were making fun of her as she was a foreigner or because of her funny name. So actually here what does Peggy mean? Peggy is saying that I'm just making fun of her only because when she had answered a funny answer like she had 100 dresses, but I never bullied her or discriminated her or just had a fun with her because she's a foreigner or she's having a funny name. And I thought she was too dumb, and look how she can draw. So here what she's saying that I thought that she's a very dull girl or a dumb girl, that she can't speak or she's very poor at her intelligence. But no, she's very good at drawing. See, look at her drawings, how beautifully she had drawn. In that way, Peggy was showing the drawings of Vanda Patransky to Maddie here. So I'm just recalling it, this paragraph. So Peggy, she just after the school, she went to Maddie and she said that let's go and visit Vanda Patransky. And I never made fun of her because she's a foreigner or because she's having a funny name. Just casually we have just made fun of her, and but she took it granted that we are making fun of her because she's a foreigner or having a fun name here. But I thought that she's a very dumb girl or a dull and very different girl, but she's really good and she's very good at drawing. See, look how beautifully she is. She had drawn. In that way, Peggy was speaking to Maddie here. Yeah, when Peggy was saying all these things to Maddie, Maddie could not say anything, but all her thoughts just moved about Vanda Patransky, and she's hoping that they would definitely find Vanda Patransky and they would go and tell Vanda Patransky that they were really sorry for picking her or teasing her, and also they wanted to convey that the whole school was thinking very wonderfully about Vanda Patransky and how they were thinking that she was a very good artist and all her drawings were very good. On all these things here, Mandy wanted to convey to Vanda Patransky, and also she said that she would definitely ask her not to move away from the school, and if anybody is not treating her nicely, they said that they would fight. She and Peggy would fight with them. That is what here Maddie wanted to say to Vanda Patransky. So she was saying that first of all she should find Vanda Patransky, where is she, and then she would definitely say that they were really feeling sorry for picking her or teasing her, and the whole school is thinking about Vanda Patransky very good. And she also asked her and convince her not to move from school, and she asked her to stay in the school itself. If anyone picks her or teases her, they will stand and fight with them for her. That is what here Maddie wanted to say to Vanda Patransky. And thinking all these things in her mind, both the girls hurried and they went to here Boggins had. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get the top of the hill before the dark. So it's afternoon. They're thinking that just before darkness they reach there and speak to Vanda Patransky. And however they have reached Boggins Height, and here Maddie is saying that I think that's where Patransky's live. She pointed towards a area, and yeah, that is the place where Patronskis live. And there was a little white house there where this Vanda Patransky lives, and there was a old dry grass, and the total path was very damp, and even see here old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thick kittens. So the path was very dirty, like no, all the dry grass had been dumped here and there, how the kittens laid down. And somehow the house was, its past little yard looked shabby but clean. So the house was old one, shabby, that means totally worn out, but it was clean, and it reminded Maddie of Vanda's one dress, that is a blue dress. Though it was good, though it was clean, it was faded one, it was never ironed. So in the same way here, the old small house it was clean, but it was a shabby, that means faded, or no, what do we call it, dull house is okay. Somehow they have gone there. So let us see whether Vanda Patransky will be there in the house, and whether they will communicate to Vanda Patransky what they wanted to. So when they have gone to the house of Wanda Patransky, there was not a sign of a life about the house. That means nobody was there in the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door. Peggy started tapping on the door, but there was no answer because nobody was there. So she and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. So front door they have knocked, nobody was there. So Peggy and Maddie, both of them went back around the house in the backyard, and also they have knocked there, but still there was no one in the house and nobody opened the door. And for sure there was no doubt about it, the Patronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? So for sure they're thinking that, yeah, Wanda Patransky is not there. So the Patranskys have already left the place. They have gone to the big city, and they turned slowly and they and made their way back down the hill. So after finding that there was nobody in the home, with the dull faces, they turned back to their homes. Both of them, both Peggy and Maddie, went back to their houses. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she's gone now. So what can we do besides? When I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawing. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. So, however, here Peggy is saying that, however, what had happened, happened. Leave it. They have left away. Okay, Patranskis have left away and she's gone, and no more she is here. And moreover, when I was asking her about the dresses, okay, so though the people were thinking that they were the other students were thinking that we were teasing, but here she was probably getting the good ideas for her drawings. In that way, though we were trying to pick her, it was in fact favoring her, and she was getting a good ideas about the contest, and finally that had helped the Wanda Patransky to win the contest. So Maddie slowly started changing herself, because Peggy had said that the picking of Wanda Patransky, like asking of Wanda Patransky how many dresses she's having, might have given Wanda Patransky the ideas of a new models of the dresses, had changed the idea of Maddie slowly, and her mood was not so bad as it was earlier. Earlier, she was thinking that they were responsible for Wanda Patransky's movement out of the school, but now somehow she was feeling comfortable. But that night she could not sleep properly because she was thinking about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house where she lived in, because every day she used to come from Bogin's Height and she used to wear the same old blue dress which was very faded, and the little house where she comes from. So all these things were just moving on in Maddie's head, and she couldn't sleep properly. And the picture of these even 100 dresses what she had drawn, that was really very wonderful, and all these dresses were lined up in this classroom. So all the thoughts were rolling in the mind of Maddie, and for sure she's thinking that, see, at last Maddie sat up in her bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. She thought throughout the night. She couldn't sleep. She just put her head in both the hands and pressed it, and still she couldn't sleep because the thoughts of Wanda Patransky were coming again and again. Her faded dress and her house and her appearance of the girl and her 100 dresses, how all the dresses were lined up in the class. And after this, no, she had finally come to a important conclusion. that what was the conclusion? Let us see. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. Like, no, how she had stood with Peggy and entertained Peggy to pick Vanda Patransky. In that way, she is never going to stand by someone and encourage such kind of a picking or making fun of someone. That is the important conclusion decision she had taken. From tomorrow, I am not going to entertain anyone to have such kind of a discrimination or bullying in the campus. That was the conclusion taken by Maddie here. Yeah, she had taken a conclusion that not to allow anyone. So see here, if she ever heard anybody picking on someone, that means if she sees anyone picking or bullying or teasing the other, she will never entertain such things because they were funny looking, because they had a strange names. Just for the strange name, they can't do such things, or they can't bully. So she's saying that though she loses Peggy's friendship, if she raises her voice, she's not going to mind for Peggy's friendship. Definitely she would raise her voice and stop such kind of a bullyings or teasings, just if they are doing it for the sake of a funny name or a foreigner or any other thing. Because what had happened with Vanda, she couldn't make that things right with Vanda, isn't it? Though Vanda was a good girl, though that feeling of a concern was there towards Vanda, she couldn't raise her voice against Piggy. That's why Vanda had left the school, and she's saying that these things will never let repeat again in the campus. That is what she's thinking. Okay, so but from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. So how Vanda Patransky felt unhappy, she would never make anyone to feel that kind of a unhappiness and leave the school. That was the conclusion, that was a decision taken by Maddie here. Hope you have understood this part. And now let us move to the oral comprehension check. What excuses does Peggy think up for her behavior and why? So here Peggy said that though she had picked Vanda Patransky, she never had picked her in the name of a foreigner or her funny name. That was really very sad. Just picking or bullying is something which is not at all entertainable. But here she's saying that she had never picked her in the name of a foreigner or what do we call funny name. That was the excuse given by Peggy here. Come moving to the next question. What are Maddie's thoughts as they go to Boggins Heights? So when they were moving to Boggins Heights, Maddie was thinking that definitely they would meet Vanda Patransky and say that they were really sorry for picking her and they would never let anyone to pick her anymore. And moreover, everyone were very happy and they were thinking very great of her, Vanda Patransky, and about her what we call winning a prize in the contest, and all her drawings were lined up in the classroom. All these things here Maddie wanted to say Vanda Patransky and convince Vanda Patransky to continue in the school. These were the thoughts which were rolling on in Maddie's head. Next question. Why does Vanda's house remind Maddie of Vanda's blue dress? Here Vanda's house was also very small one. It was old, shabby, chadmi means worn out and faded one, as the blue dress. Even here the house was very clean. It was very small, worn out and shabby. It was as her dress. Even the blue dress was the old dress, faded dress, but it was a clean dress. Though it was not ironed, it was a clean dress, but the dress was very faded dress, as the house was a very worn house and small one, but it was clean as the blue dress. What does Maddie think hard about? What important decision does she come to? So she was thinking throughout the night about Wanda Patransky, her house and her dresses and her drawings and all those things. And finally, she came to a decision that she never entertained anyone to pick any other student just for the sake of their dress or a name or their origin, like a foreigner or something. So she never entertained in the school of such thing. Though she loses Peggy's friendship, she will not entertain such kind of a bullying or what do we call a discrimination or picking. Hope you have followed here, students. Hari Om. Thank you.